Pokémon Legends Arceus, the most ambitious spin on the mainline Pokémon formula since 1996, with its openish world and new game-changing mechanics. But does this game manage to breathe life into a rapidly scaling franchise, or does Pokémon Legends Arceus fail to make the first step? That's what we'll be finding out as we delve into my review of Pokémon Legends Arceus. Within the first 5 minutes, Pokémon Legends Arceus throws you straight into the world of Ancient Sinnoh, the Hisui region. The game sets its priorities out to the player immediately as you go straight into your first gameplay section. Whilst other games will open with a beautiful vista or a story-rich cutscene, in Pokémon Legends Arceus, as soon as you've chosen your character's style and name, you're handed a handful of Pokeballs and told to start catching Pokémon. It's clear why this was the style they chose for the opening sequence of the game. The brand new revitalized catching mechanics are at the forefront of importance in Pokémon Legends Arceus, as well as the traditional method of catching Pokémon where you enter battle, weaken it, and then throw a Pokéball using a menu. It's now possible to catch Pokémon without even entering a battle. The game has you actively hiding from and sneaking up on wild Pokémon, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike by throwing a Pokéball at them. It has you crafting your own items to lure and stun Pokémon, using resources which you found on your journey. Probably one of the most immersive and realistic of these new features is that when catching a Pokémon goes wrong and the Pokémon spots you, like a real-life animal, it will run away or become aggressive. The game then forces you to think fast and decide whether to dig your heels in and fight it by dodging attacks and throwing stun items at it, or if you're completely outmatched, you can just run for the hills. But why are you even doing all this? Your goal is to complete the first ever Pokédex, and almost everything you do in the world helps you achieve that. For each of the 241 Pokémon in the game, you have research tasks to complete, which range from catching Pokémon, defeating Pokémon in battle, observing them using different types of moves, and completing quests which involve them. All of these aspects of the game creates a very, very strong gameplay loop, potentially one of the strongest in any game I've played for a while. You catch Pokémon, it helps to complete the Pokédex. You battle them, it helps to complete the Pokédex. You gather and earn items and resources which you use to craft items, which makes it easier to catch Pokémon, and battle Pokémon, which adds to the Pokédex. Do you see my point? I could go on for a while honestly, but the most important thing is that everything you do in the game contributes to your ultimate goal of seeking out all Pokémon. And that is so incredibly rewarding and fun. It makes everything you do feel purposeful and like you're continuously thundering on towards your goal. The only things that could potentially detract from the gameplay for some people is the approach to Pokemon battles, which definitely take a back seat in this game. There's no gyms, there is very, very few trainer battles in the game, and there's no online battling. There is also no Mega Evolution, Z-moves, or Dynamax, and to top it all off, there is no Pokemon abilities. For some reason. The main way battling is adapted, however, is the addition of strong and agile style moves. Once a Pokemon has mastered a move, it can use it in one of these two styles. Strong style makes a move stronger, but also means the opponent may get 2 opportunities to move on their next turn. Agile style sacrifices damage for speed and may allow you in some cases to move twice on one turn. So there is a lot of elements of battling which have not been carried over from the traditional mainline games, but for me the new depth and strategy that the strong and agile style moves brought were enough to make up for it. But if you're someone to whom the missing features are very important, it's something you should consider when deciding to purchase the game. But as strong as the gameplay is, there is even more that this game has to offer, and that's through the main story of the game. While the story itself is hardly a masterpiece of fictitious literature, the story the game tells is interesting enough to keep you moving on and on through the game's main missions. There's even a few twists and turns along the way, some of which were very hard to see coming. But the best thing about the story is the strings attached to it. Basically, you, the player character, falls out of a crack in the sky and gets rescued by the Pokemon Professor Laventon. He then hands you your starter Pokemon and you join the Galaxy Expedition team. It's your job to complete the Pokédex and in doing so, educate the lovely people of your home, Jubilife Village, as to why they should stop thinking that Pokémon are terrifying creatures, which is a phrase that doesn't at all feel unnatural and awkward in the slightest. This sounds like a pretty easy task until the Skycrack starts spewing lightning juice onto Pokemon known as Nobles, which causes them to start to attack and hurt people. So essentially, you're then told, go fix this mess, and that is what you set out to do. The frenzied Noble Pokemon act as boss fights for each region of the map you explore. And these boss fights are some of the most action-packed encounters in a Pokemon game I've ever come across. They require quick reactions to dodge their attacks whilst looking out for openings to reduce their health bar by throwing special bombs at them. Some of these Nobles proved themselves to be quite the challenge to take down too, and really kept me on my toes. There were even a handful that I found myself having to attempt multiple times. There's not really any boss fights on the level of difficulty of something like a Souls-like, but it really was nice to have some bosses in a Pokemon game which were challenging enough to feel rewarding. There's also Pokemon which could be considered mini-bosses too. The Pokemon Alphas provide little challenges and rewards as you explore areas because they are trickier to catch or defeat, but provide an even greater reward than normal Pokemon do. Through the main story, there's also a wealth of new, lovable characters you meet on your conquest to catch them all and save Hisui from the tyranny of the frenzied nobles. They're all designed artistically very well, and written in creative ways. They all have their own different goals, and it's interesting to watch how each character interacts with each other, and how their differing ideals and goals conflict or cause them to work together. There's also some characters whose designs and dialogue are full of Easter eggs for players of the original Diamond and Pearl games, as the way they look and the things they say indicate an ancestral connection to characters from those games. These characters also feature in a lot of the game's cutscenes, and these cutscenes are some of the most well-animated and spectacular cutscenes in any Pokemon game I've played before this. There's not many, but the ones that are here show brilliant potential for what could be done in future Pokemon games. The main story, whilst not the greatest video game narrative I've ever experienced, is still really fun, and brings with it so many aspects which help to bolster and support the already incredibly strong gameplay of Pokémon Legends Arceus. The world in Pokémon Legends Arceus is a semi-open one. While the first couple of trailers may have suggested that it could be open world, it isn't. You warp between big open zones with different weather conditions, different geographical themes, and different Pokémon in them from your base of operations, Jubilife Village. For the game, this works fine, and doesn't have a negative effect on any of the experience. It's just a little disappointing when you consider the potential there was for this game to be the first time Pokémon steps into the realms of a fully open world. Each area has its own handful of soundtracks too, which help to breathe a bit more life into each area, giving it its own feel and sense of adventure. I do enjoy quite a few of these tracks, and a few will have been playing in the background of this video throughout this review. So if you're interested in what the OST is all about, I hope you've been able to gather a good sense of that from watching and listening. But now we move on to where my biggest problems with Pokémon Legends Arceus lie. The environments in Pokémon Legends Arceus, to save myself from beating around the bush, are bad. If you've been watching the gameplay in the background of this review, you will almost certainly have noticed the severe emptiness and lack of variety in the environments, with nothing but a few trees and rocks and the occasional ruin if you're lucky. This would start to become a little more forgivable if the surface textures didn't look so incredibly unpolished and undetailed. They lack variety and have a very weak artistic style, to the point where it could even be considered jarring to see the brilliant character and Pokemon models roaming around within it. There is no excuse for the environments to look this bad. Pokemon is the most profitable franchise on the planet. They could and should have hired more designers and developers to work on them. And there's no excuse in terms of hardware either, because despite being mechanically very underpowered, the Nintendo Switch has proven itself capable of running games which look graphically good through correct use of art style, color, and lighting. But there is a silver lining. As mentioned already, the gameplay in this game is so strong from top to bottom that the terrible visuals the world itself provides aren't really a noticeable issue as you're playing. Technically, they work as fine places for the Pokemon to live within and the trainers to explore. There's plenty of little nooks and crannies to discover Pokemon in, and environmental objects for the player to use to conceal themselves and sneak up on the creatures. I'd also be lying if I said that some of the locations don't look pretty with the right lighting, and some places such as your base in the game, Jubilife Village, do look quite nice. So do I think that these things are a deal breaker? No. To miss out on such a fresh and new Pokemon experience such as this due to the crummy visuals would be a huge shame. If you're interested into what this game has to offer, don't let the visuals be the thing that causes you to miss out on it. With all that said and done, what are my conclusive thoughts on Pokémon Legends Arceus? Without a doubt, it's definitely the most ambitious spin on the mainline Pokemon formula yet. It has me hoping that all Pokemon games to come will build and improve on it. It has me excited to see what will come from Pokemon in the future. Pokémon Legends Arceus has certainly managed to make the Pokemon franchise take its first step towards something new. It's a game which I'm certain will be loved by people for years to come because of what it's brought to the table and simply because of how fun it is to play. For anyone who may have fallen off in terms of interest for the Pokemon franchise over the recent years, or people who still love Pokemon, this game is a must play. Although this game takes place in the past, it's clear that the future of the Pokemon franchise is now.